chopping it up while I'm eating. Eat some food at the same time and chop it up. I'll turn the light on too. So we got a little bit more light. There we go. Eat this food. Read the comments. Hey, eat the food. No, say eat this food with the belt on me, y'all. The chat ready to eat some food. Yeah, we ready to watch some TV. It's raining out there. I ain't gonna mess with that rain today. Oh, wait, if it's that rain, don't do one there on tonight.
PS5. Remnant 2. Welcome. Home for Michael Spike. You get your media hub. Discover. YouTube. Kick off the NFL season with recommended Row, Remnant 2-5 insane weapons you need to get. Forgot 12 scary videos guaranteed. Photo Bye and Kenjaku returns to starts Jujutsu Kaisen Part 2. Coming game finale explained. Anime of 12 scary videos guaranteed to give you chills. New to you. Recommended. Row. 12 new to you. Ropes. All boss rush. Absolute chaos. Difficulty 5 of fixed boss fights 5 times more enemies modded. Chaos gaming. 68 watching. With 3 of 5 or more.
Yeah, baby.
Season 1 and 3. The Big Bang Theory. Big Bang Theory. 1.2 MVs 1 month ago. 58 minutes. 13 seconds. The boy transforms into a terrifying scare. Going through my fiancé phone while she was asleep. Asterisk. Recommended. Remnant 2-5 insane. Sponsor. Ending 21.
Like no precedent has ever had over your daily life.
Ready to eat some food, y'all.
Sponsor. Ending 6.
To kill the most common household insects. Stem bug spray.
Wanderers, Remnant 2's second DLC, The Forgotten Kingdom, is here, and with it comes new and elusive weapons ready for you to hunt down. Some are hidden in plain sight, while others are just downright hard to find, but regardless, we're here to help you find them all. My name is Kodiak, this is Legacy Gaming, and today we're breaking down 5 incredible weapons and where to find them in Remnant 2's new DLC. Let's start off with a freebie, the shovel. A weapon we're not counting as one of the 5 hidden weapons in this video, but don't let its simple appearance fool you. This thing has some real value. Just like in the previous DLC, the team snuck in a new weapon, Apparatus, and you can pick up the shovel for 500 scrap. At first glance, it's nothing special. It has a baseline damage of 55, a critical hit chance of 15%, deals 100% weak spot damage, and a 0% stagger modifier. All things considered, mediocre. Where this weapon truly shines is in its utility. Instead of a heavy attack, you can actually dig into the ground. Each hit...
Skip back 30 seconds. Skip back 50 words. Skip back 1. Skip back 50 words. Skipping 2 and 10 seconds of 15 minutes. 21 seconds. Ending.
Make some cheese right
This
here.
is Legacy Gaming, and today we're breaking down 5 incredible weapons and where to find them.
Skipping 2 and 12. 23 seconds of 15 minutes. 21 seconds. 5.
Eat this good food. Eat this good food.
Today to intro. 42 seconds to 13 minutes. 21 seconds.
Shovel. A weapon we're not counting as one of the 5 hidden weapons in this video, but don't let its simple appearance fool you. This thing has some real value. Just like in the previous DLC, the team snuck in a new weapon apparatus where you can pick up the shovel for 500 scrap. At first glance, it's nothing special. It has a baseline damage of 55, a critical hit chance of 15%, deals 100% weak spot damage, and a 0% stagger modifier. All things considered, mediocre, but where this weapon truly shines is in its utility. Instead of a heavy attack, you can actually dig into the ground. Each dig has a high chance of spawning both ammo for your primary and secondary weapon. This makes the shovel incredible for ammo economy, and you can even swap it between encounters to top off your reserves without needing to reset the world at a checkpoint. Additionally, each dig has a very small chance of digging up a Mudtooth XP elixir. Not only is it great to get these for free every so often, but this can also be a game changer in a hardcore run where scrap is tight and you want to gain XP quickly. At this point, we're not sure if any other secrets are tied to digging, but it's a safe bet Gunfire Games, the masters of secrets, hid something somewhere that requires the shovel. Our first true secret is another melee weapon, the
Strawberry
Crystal
too.
Staff, which is the starting melee weapon for the brand new Invoker archetype. If you haven't checked out our video revealing how to unlock the new archetype and its armor set, definitely go check that out. The Crystal Staff is a weapon you'll come across naturally during your DLC playthrough, but only if you do the optional dungeon hidden behind the waterfall at the start of the Ancient Canopy. You'll need to progress through this next zone, the Infested Abyss, clearing out each root nexus on your way to the end of the dungeon. After you've cleared the third and final root nexus, you'll drop into a new room. Against the back wall, propped against the side of an open sarcophagus, is the Crystal Staff. No tricks, no secrets, it's just there. The Crystal Staff is tailor-made for those looking to embrace either a shock or elemental build, as it leans heavily into shock and overload damage modifiers.
What up, Lori?
When utilized
What's
in a
up?
proper build,
What's good?
this weapon
Everything's good. I'm just eating this good
by
food.
default, you'll be able to swing
Chilling,
this weapon
chilling.
like any other staff.
They're
When you
chilling,
hit
eating this
melee,
good food.
You'll empower the staff for the next 10 seconds, activating its baked-in mod, Power Stone. When empowered, melee attacks launch energy bolts that seek out enemies within 20 meters. Each bolt deals 100 shock damage, while also granting 1 stack of Power Stone up to a max of 10 stacks. If you do another charged melee attack while still empowered, you'll slam the staff into the ground, sending out a shockwave that deals 150 shock damage and consumes all Power Stone stacks. For each stack consumed, you'll release 1 lightning bolt that strikes a random nearby enemy and applies overload to them for 10 seconds. Not only is the Crystal Staff a solid melee weapon, but it can also be a potent ranged and AoE tool that scales insanely well off of shock and elemental damage, pairing well with the Ritualist, Archon, or Invoker builds. All right,
This food is pretty good, Lord.
before we switch to
Nice.
guns, but don't
Yeah.
tune out because this next weapon is a good one.
This
Mirage
food-
is one of 2 weapons you can obtain
There's some
from
good
the
food.
Medusa World Boss. As you're progressing through the new DLC zones, you'll eventually find yourself in Luminous Vale, standing by a lever with a giant statue of a Geisha goddess smack dab in front of you. In order to get this lever to actually work, you need to keep progressing your adventure, passing through a connecting dungeon before coming out in an area above the statue called Final Hollow. Clear the root corruption blocking the water and take the elevator back down to Luminous Vale. With the water running, pull the lever and the statue will shift, and you'll have access to the inner chamber where you'll find the quest item, Cherished Fracture. Once you have this item, do not, I repeat, do not speak with Medusa's fractured spirit in the Bloodless Throne. That will send you down the path of fighting her, and we don't want that this time. Instead, take the Cherished Fracture to Goddess Rest, which you should have if you're on your one-shot adventure. In Goddess Rest, you'll need to activate 5 pylons, which will light 5 braziers. on
It's
top
just
of
wet,
the
wet.
temple. Work your way through the zone, fighting and activating each pylon until all 5 braziers are lit, and make your way to the temple door. Inside the temple, you'll notice an offering bowl. Sacrifice the Cherished Fracture, and the reformed Medusa will materialize before your eyes. Fully restored, she'll thank you and give you the Blossoming Core material. Take this back to the cave in War 13 to craft the very cool and incredibly powerful flail, Barrage. The weapon's baked-in mod, Cyclone, is activated by holding down a charged melee attack. You'll begin swinging the flail overhead, forming a 5
Oh, that's what he got too.
so long as you maintain the attack. Not only
I've
does
seen
this
people
pull
with
enemies
that.
towards the player, but the Cyclone also deals 55 damage per second,
I've seen
in
people
addition to
with that.
whatever Mirage itself is also hitting for. Each hit from Cyclone also applies the exposed debuff for 3 seconds, up to a max of 15 seconds, which increases damage taken from all sources by 15%. With the melee weapons out of the way, let's talk about new guns, starting right back with Lydusa. The first weapon on the docket is Monolith, which is easily in my top 5 favorite guns in terms of aesthetic and performance. Just like with Mirage, you first need to obtain the Cherished Fracture. This time, head back to the Bloodless Throne and speak with the shattered form of Lydusa. She'll attempt to reconstruct herself, but it'll fail. Now, she's pissed at you. Go figure. This will trigger the end boss fight for the DLC, and once you've killed her, you'll obtain the crafting material Lydusa's Eye. As usual, head back to Ward 13, and McCabe will craft you this otherworldly weapon. Stat-wise, Monolith is solid, boasting 33 base damage, a magazine size of 80, a max ammo capacity of 320, a critical hit chance of 5%, an 85% weak spot damage modifier, and a negative 20% stagger modifier. But where the weapon really shines is when you lean into its ability to apply the exposed debuff. Simply by maintaining your beam on the target, or when your mod is applied and damaging an enemy, you'll apply exposed for 1 second up to a max of 15 seconds. That means just dealing damage is making your enemy immediately take 15% more damage. But wait, it's better. The weapon's baked-in mod Sandstorm allows the player to launch a sphere of loam at the target location. The impact creates a 5-meter wide swirling storm of sand that seeks to center itself on an enemy, dealing 225 elemental damage per second. Remember, also applying exposed. This lasts for 15 seconds, and even if the target dies while Sandstorm is active, the Sandstorm will seek out a new enemy within 10 meters, which is simply insane. This weapon synergizes
What up,
extremely
little
well
Mike?
with skills
Hey,
and gear that
everything
make
good,
use
man? I'm
of
just chilling.
things. Exposed is the main feature you can
Watching
capitalize
this,
on.
watching
Things
YouTube while
like
I'm eating
manual
at the same
stacks,
time.
dot dash,
Enjoying this
and
food.
elemental loadouts can take full advantage of Monolith's awesome power. It's a weapon like no other, and one we think everyone will love using. The premier weapon of the Forgotten Kingdom DLC is quite literally the weapon that kickstarted it all. First revealed back in the DLC's launch trailer, the Trinity crossbow was top of our list of weapons to find while we were combing through the dungeons of Yesha. Finding this weapon takes a bit of persistence, but nothing you can't handle. The first step in the journey to find the Trinity crossbow is to reach the Luminous Veil. This is the lower part of the overworld map you reach after speaking to Lydusa the first time when she's in spirit form. Somewhere in Luminous Veil is a quest item called Trinity Memento, but where it spawns in your world will be entirely random. There are 3 locations the Memento can spawn. One spawn location is on the suspension bridge at the top of the zone. You reach this spot by using the elevator inside the small temple hallway. If you move through the hallway and out the other side, you'll reach a small jungle section overlooking the back side of the map. This is the potential spawn location for another piece. The third piece can potentially spawn in the opposite corner of the map. To the right of the massive stone statue is a small waterway. Work your way through until you reach a small cave towards the back and another piece of the Trinity Memento. As the name suggests, you're not completing this in one run. Do the math here, folks. You're running the Forgotten Kingdom 3 times to get 3 pieces required to unlock the Trinity crossbow. Here's the thing, though. Each piece needs to be turned in before you reset your world. With your first piece in hand, head back to Ward 13 and talk to Dwell. That's right, your friendly neighborhood pan is the key to this entire secret. Once you turn in your first piece of the Trinity Memento, reset your world, ideally in adventure mode for expediency, and then run it again. Repeat these steps until you have all 3 Trinity Memento pieces, remembering to turn them in each time before resetting your world. Once you turn in that final piece, Dwell will reward you with the amulet Echo of the Forest. The amulet itself is fine, but it's what the amulet reveals that really matters. First, a bonus secret. If you wear this amulet and talk to the nearly destroyed stone construct in the middle section of the ancient canopy, you can communicate with it, and after a bit of back and forth, unlock the stone shaper's chisel. This is a fun little item that I could see working in a number of builds, but again, that's not what we're here for. No, the real prize was right in front of our eyes in the very beginning of our adventure.
How you feeling, Lord? I am feeling.
Head up the hill until you reach the secret.
I'm feeling great, but sleepy was really good.
Make your way down and turn left.
Like,
There you'll
are
notice
you?
a wall with, would you look at that,
But
an
the
image
mic-
of the
the
Echo of
mic
the Forest
is
amulet. Make sure the
Good
amulet is
smashing
welcome to the wall
those
in a sequence where the bone
strawberry.
will reveal itself. The
I
second to the
feel
bottom,
good
there on a pedestal, is the Trinity
watching
crossbow.
is
I'll admit I haven't experimented with this
King
too much, but it's
Club
certainly a
or
unique item, firing 3
been
projectiles at a
raining
time.
today.
It is
Yeah, it's
still
raining over here
but it
too.
does require
It been
a
raining
step
like
between each
I
shot.
think it might stop.
Shockingly, the weapon
It been
lets
like
you
off and on. The rain been off and on over
customize
here,
it to your heart's content, which is
but it
usually
haven't been
included
too
in other
bad.
offerings of the DLC. Either way, you now have yourself a shiny new crossbow to call your own. Last but certainly
Oh,
not
that's
least
what
is a
he
primary
do.
weapon I think a lot of players have
Hopefully
missed,
you
even though it was right under their nose.
strawberry.
We're talking, of
I
course,
love
about Thorn, the Halo
rain.
Needler adapted
Yeah, I
from the
did.
player
I
base.
had
If you want to watch our full video
haven't
breaking down
been
the
out
secrets of the Curry egg,
today
well,
at all.
that's linked right here. But in this
It
video,
were
we're
better.
looking at just the weapon.
Yeah.
When you come across the Curry egg in the ancient canopy, enter the nest, observe the egg, but don't pick it up. You could say,
Strawberry
oh,
good.
what a nice egg, but resist that urge to go and cook it. Be on your merry way. Progress through the world and make your way through the main zones until you meet Lydusa and reach the Luminous Veil. At this point, you'll have triggered the event and can teleport back to the beginning of the ancient canopy. Make your way back up to the nest, and what you're greeted with is a bit disgusting to say the least. Papa Curry is grateful you didn't take his baby. Because you're a good wanderer, you're rewarded for your efforts with a new material.
Skip back 50 seconds. Skipping to 4. 10 minutes, 25 seconds of 13 minutes, 21 seconds. Loading.
If you want to watch our full video breaking down the secrets of the Curry egg, well, that's linked right here. But in this video, we're looking at just the weapon. When you come across the Curry egg in the ancient canopy, enter the nest, observe the egg, but don't pick it up. You could say, oh, what a nice egg, but resist that urge to go and cook it. Be on your merry way. Progress through the world and make your way through the main zones until you meet Lydusa and reach the Luminous Veil. At this point, you'll have triggered the event and can teleport back to the beginning of the ancient canopy. Make your way back up to the nest, and what you're greeted with is a bit disgusting to say the least. Papa Curry is grateful you didn't take his baby. Because you're a good wanderer, you're rewarded for your efforts with a new material, the regurgitated spinous sap. If you've already progressed your world and you didn't actually look at the egg in the first zone, you can technically still complete this, but it's a bit squirrely, so we recommend you reset your adventure mode if you want to guarantee that Curry graces you with its presence. Take your new item back to the cave in Ward 13, and boom, a spiky, shooty weapon of death. This long gun fires out homing needles that deal damage to enemies upon impact. Once 5 needles stick in the target, they explode, dealing additional explosive damage. You can see that the weapon itself has relatively low damage, a decent fire rate, and a magazine capacity of 30. Because of its homing nature, accuracy really isn't a factor, but you do have to watch out for the ideal range of the gun. You can, of course, manipulate this with rings and an amulet, but for the most part, I never struggled with lashing onto targets. A few more things to rattle off here. The weapon has 300 max ammo, a 10% critical hit chance, a 100% weak spot damage bonus, and a negative 10% stagger modifier. Thorn also comes with a baked-in mod called Deadwood, which changes the dynamic significantly. When activated, blowback is disabled. That's the explosion. You also gain 25% reload speed and 15% increased fire rate. Reactivating the mod will trigger empowered blowback, which detonates all needles at once for 100% additional damage. Thorn might not be the strongest weapon on paper, but it's a ton of fun to use, and you can absolutely build into its strengths and create an entire loadout around it. Like we said, it's Remnant's twist on an iconic Halo weapon, and I, for one, don't mind the ripoff. So there you have it, 5 insanely strong weapons you can pick up in the Forgotten Kingdom DLC. Let us know what you think of each weapon or share your favorites in the comments section below. As always, if you like our videos, drop us a like, consider subscribing, so you never miss a new video. My name is Kodiak, and from everyone here at Legacy Gaming, thanks for watching.
Recommended. Well, when you 12 scary videos guaranteed. Player Super Guess Who's Back. Super Red Phone tab. Limit search tab. 2 of 11.
Let me see.
Hold to entering dialogue.
Hot You Girl broadcast.
Search
I said
results
hot
for
to me.
search would suggest pop tap or hold to entering dialogue.
Hot You Girl broadcast.
Tap or hold to search results for how to grow. Learn the benefits to planting and growing native shrubs. Sponsor. Proven winners for the choice with search. Suggest pop tap or hold entering dialogue.
Hot You Girl
1 of 2.
broadcast.
Search results for how to grow a broadcast. Grow. Search. Tap
I mean,
or hold to search
podcast.
results button.
I can't even say it, boy.
Entering dialogue.
Hot you,
Speak now.
girl.
1 of 2. Search results for hot sugar. Grow. Black Buddha. Suggest tap or entering dialogue.
Hot
Speak
chew.
now. 1 of 2. Search results for her view. Grow. Suggested tap or hold to search with wolf. Sixer. Home. Tab. 3 of 11.
Podcast? I mean, podcast.
Music. Gaming. Tab. 6 of
Same work,
11.
I mean, podcast. Yeah. Okay.
Library. Gaming. Tab. 6 of 11. Library. Tab. 7 of 11. 6 more. Subscriptions. Tab. 8. Library. Tab. History. Button. 1 of history. 8. Super rem. Play. No more. Cat. No. Not bit. Red. Cat. Go. Nap. Hit. But no more. Play with his reels. What tears it? What so? What? Record. New. 200 feet. Remnant. Siege. Cave. Ultra. Let's. Remnant. Astro. Live. Remnant 2. Play with nap. Hair. Youth. The. More. No more. History. Row. More. History. Rem. AFO destroys the heroes. My Hero Academia S70P18. The Hero 27. 96K views. 1 minute. 40 seconds. Row 1. Column 3. Real reason. Tears in Jujutsu Kaisen movie book 200. Siege Streets. Let's play live hyphen deep how to get soul spark red ultra Vegito meets the mother of the heroes versus Neo Cashew history. Rep siege rep library. Gate Newton Post account tab search tap or hold to search with voice button. Entering dialogue. Speak now. 1 of 2.
Hot chew. No, hot
Search
chew.
results for hot suggested pop tap or hold to search. Entering dialogue. Speak now. 1 of 2.
Podcast. There we go.
Search results for podcast. Row. How to start
Oh, no,
a
no, no.
podcast. Sponsor.
Service.
No one with Joe Rogan experience. Chat. Video. Ken Cybertruck with Cat. Mad of America. Battle of the Sex. X. Ice Cube. Kev. Mad. I took my childhood crush on her dreamed. Essex. Shed. Real conjuring stories. Annabelle has escaped. Mark Wahlberg exposed. Sarasota Tim Hader at Site. Joe Rogan. Dark Bible stories that you never. Joe Rogan experience. Sit down with Ryan. The most set. Ryan Montgomery. Hyphen 1. Sit down with Andrew Tate. Michael Franzese. Ryan Monk. The most savage tweets of the week. Scary Reddit stories. Let's not meet. Full. Marlon Wayne. Love X. The unhinged. Reddit store. Heated debate. Fresh attack. Snack. Charlemagne God gives his take on leaked audio of Jay-Z. Robert Green on how Shia LaBeouf on Real Life. Missing my brother as I want the Jeff T. Joe Boyax. Kevin, are you weird? 10 that you. I think this is the best 12 block. Yes, the dead team on 2. Dead 5th. We call for 15 on 2. Dead in my 5th. We call for Shiva Shant. For how she helped her. We made a new podcast. Hyphen new. Shop the cat belt the up the Joe. Can use the Joe Button podcast. Pygmies versus hip hop. Robert Scoop Nell learning the snipe life. That just a pick of powerful podcasts for English. Sat jet for dog truck to kick. Welcome to the Bobby Davis. Kicking Carver off the podcast. LOL podcast. 4K. 2.5 and you. Welcome to the Hoop Deep starting group. The Melty injured. What is autism? W/Dober. From Take Your Shoes Off. Interviewing our dad Sylvester Stallone episode 50 Unwaxed podcast. Unwaxed podcast. 7.7 and views 2 years ago.
Interviewing it.
Yeah, please, guys, please.
What is he
No problem, all right?
watching?
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a very special episode of the Unlocked Podcast.
With your favorite sisters, Sophia and Sistine Stallone.
You guys, we did it! Round of applause, episode 50. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
The studio's clapping. Yes,
Yes,
thank you so much.
yes.
It's been a journey.
It
and
has been.
I don't think we expected to make this episode 50.
No, we did not. I feel like we see ourselves a year ago from today, and it was just not the same. I think it was us hauling our ring lights in.
It was
editing
embarrassing
everything.
to
It was
say the
just
least,
not
but
the
we
same.
really wanted to make this episode extra special for you guys. That's why we thought we must bring in a guest that has never once done a podcast before.
Never.
Is honestly the hardest guest that we've ever had to catch, quite literally.
Yeah, the sea is pretty big. It took a lot of man.
You guys, we went fishing for 2 weeks
Yeah.
to reel this guest in.
Well, maybe you had some holes in your net. Did you ever think of that?
Perhaps we did. Why don't we introduce you right now? Because clearly you want to jump into the show already. We have doing his first podcast interview ever. The iconic King Shark, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. I like to be known as the Podfather from here on in.
No.
Podfather
What
wine.
was the thing you
Podfather-
were talking about for you to say?
Do a line from
Do
King
a line.
Shark.
Also, put
Oh.
that mic in front of your mouth.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Now, I worked a long time with that. It just doesn't come naturally.
Dad, grab your mic. And put it to your mouth.
Okay, I guess that was a straight.
Ah,
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess that was a straight giveaway. Dad, welcome to the show. Obviously, you are probably the #1 requested guest that we've had.
Ever.
That's not true.
It is, and
Really?
honestly, we
I'm
wanted
very
to
flattered.
wait. We really were. I think we're very nervous and very excited because we just want to make sure that, our podcast. Are you okay? You're Justin. Okay.
You guys were expecting
Say
the
that to my
episode.
face. Come on.
You guys were probably expecting something a bit more structured than this. This is going to be the most chaotic
Seriously.
episode you're ever
What
going
is
to
this,
see.
a weather vane? Like, oh, you don't need a weatherman to know which way the wind blows. Here it is, folks.
And a stand-up. We wanted to make sure that before we had you come on, because we want to make you proud. We wanted to make sure this episode, this podcast, everything was just perfect
And legitimate.
and legitimate. And I think new studio, new couch. It seems pretty legitimate.
Mhm.
Very
So-
good.
Thanks for coming on today.
Well, you're more than welcome.
I think people are now starting to realize that you are a secret comedian.
No, I'm not. I just think that life belongs to those who can somehow make a sick joke out of it all, because it does. It works out. If you take life too seriously, what is that old saying? To those who think life is a comedy, those who feel life is a tragedy. So I just try to keep it light and lively.
Well, that's something that you've always done, and that's a side to you that I don't think a lot of people know.
No,
And that's why we think this episode would be a great opportunity to ask you questions that maybe might be inappropriate for other interviewers to possibly
Okay.
ask you, but we can get away with
Because
it
we're your daughters.
because we're your kids.
Fair enough. Ask those questions.
Okay.
That's a difficult one.
I mean, yeah, let's just get into. Should we start when you were just a wee little
Oh,
boy?
little boy.
All right,
Absolutely.
let's
Okay.
go into your childhood because you have quite the interesting childhood.
Yeah. If you could describe yourself in 3 words growing up, what would it be?
Seriously?
Yeah.
Okay. Loner.
Mhm.
Very expressive, really loud,
Right.
outgoing, and without a doubt, I'd say I got along very well, conversing.
Yeah.
But it's almost because from what you've told us growing up that you really just had to fend for yourself. You're kind of like a feral
Well, yeah.
street kid.
No, really.
Yeah.
I mean, your parents
I
dropped
had
you off.
very strange. My parents weren't exactly brought up
Yeah.
like stellar human beings either.
The craziest story, I think one of them was the fact that I mean, this is, I don't know if anyone knows this, but your parents dropped you off at like an old folks home when you were younger.
For the first
And
5
for the
years,
first
of
5 years of your life,
Mama
because they didn't feel like
Hanson's house.
raising you.
Yeah.
No, you were left in an elderly home, so you were around as a 5-year-old, 95-year-olds.
It's true.
So maybe
it
that's
doesn't
why you were
exactly-
figuring out how to converse with people very quickly, because you were able to have these
Yeah,
conversations.
my average friends were like 90.
Yeah,
Like
which
I
is
said,
crazy.
like speaking about 5 years old. Yeah, at the time I didn't think it was so bad, but when you look back on it, it's not exactly a smart choice. Daycare centers, you have daycare centers today. Back then they really didn't have. They had boarding houses.
Really?
Yeah, for like traveling salesmen or just airline stewardesses, people coming in and out. So you go down to a boarding boarding house,
Yeah.
and you'd see 11 strangers. The next day there's 9 strangers. It's a boarding house, literally like
Yeah, so-
low rent.
Yeah.
You know,
But do
you
you,
got some guy who smells like turkey.
Well, that
He's in
kind
the
of-
next room. You go, yo, can't wait till he moves on. I get that guy smell like crab back in here.
oh my god. I mean, that probably makes sense for why you like Jello so much today. That's probably why you were eating the old
I
folks'
do.
home.
I like food that doesn't
It requires chewing.
any intelligence
Rice
whatsoever.
pudding and jello. is
Exactly
right.
applesauce.
Well,
Applesauce.
You know, so since 5 years old, you're left with strangers. You told us countless times the amounts that you've ran away from home.
A lot.
I remember one time actually, I don't know if you remember this. We were in Philadelphia maybe 4 years ago together. It was just you and me. And we were just walking through the streets and we were getting nostalgic and you were telling me all these stories and you stopped me on the street corner and you said, right here, I was 13 years old when I ran away from home and I lit my first cigarette on this corner right here in Philadelphia. I swear. And I said, I don't know why I thought that was the coolest story ever. My dad smoking a cigarette at 13, but you were really nostalgic about it. And I think that's.
Isn't it funny how certain things that get burnt into your memory, like certain things that are just apocalyptic in your life? Oh, my first cigarette, which I remember very well. The Parliament, it was Parliament new filter types, like whoa. So you get to die a little bit later, that kind of thing. Before then, cigarettes were not considered bad; they're considered very cool.
Right.
So everyone, by the time you were 12 or 13, had some pack rolled up in their shoulder.
Yeah, it was trendy. It was
it was terrible.
So, I mean, how many times did you run away from home?
Oh my God! Literally, at least a dozen or more, but it was never planned. For example, this is what's so different. Why I would hate to have raised myself. I could have never done it. I would put myself up for that.
But I don't blame you. I mean,
no, seriously, I believe it. I'm no picnic. I had this attention disorder kind of thing. I just didn't focus on anything. So anything that would become routine or boring, I would leave. So I'd be on my way to school, 16 years old. I go, I'm going to go to Florida. And literally start hitchhiking to Florida, starting at Roosevelt Boulevard in Philadelphia. No money. In other words, whatever I had for lunch and a coat, which I ended up showing outside of swamp in Ocala, Florida for $3, which I remember that saved me. That $3 was really important. But yeah, that's what I would do. And then you get to the bottom, you get to Florida, and I go, okay, now what? I have to get arrested or something because I have to get back to Philadelphia. No one's going to volunteer.
Right. You did. You purposely get arrested, so then they send you home.
What type of
because you were a minor?
What would you do to get
That's so
arrested?
clever.
What would you do?
Well, what happened was the dumbest thing was this doesn't bode well for our military either. So I'm in Ocala, Florida, alone. And I just sold my cup for $3. I said, God, okay, I had enough for a meal, but I got to get back to Philadelphia. And I see a military base. And I break onto the military base. But it's so simple. It's like, literally.
How is it simple?
It's a fence. It's like not like complicated. It wasn't like, sirens and guys with machine guns. It's like a fence.
That's
like you expect a guy with a lawnmower behind you going, come on in. So I went in. Place is deserted. It's maybe 10 o'clock at night. Then there's a thing called the PX, which is where it's kind of like a place you go to eat. PX buy cigarettes. I go in there. Of course, everything's locked up except oatmeal. That's why I have such an affinity for oatmeal.
Any soft food.
Well, the thing is, you never, ever put oatmeal in your mouth dry.
Oh. You guys heard it here first on the Unwaxed podcast. Make sure you do not eat dry oatmeal.
Ever.
Who eats dry oatmeal? What is that? Why do you think it's a warning? That's a weird thing.
Why would you want to do that?
I was hungry. I said, okay, look at oatmeal. It sounds great. Quaker Oats guy on the box. How dangerous could it be? Huh?
It looks friendly enough.
Yeah, just like that. And by the time I brought it back,
oh God,
no. It was so jammed up. It was so dry. It became like sponges. I started choking to death.
So choking on an oatmeal packet in a military base.
In a military base in Ocala, Florida. Right. And they came in. And I go, thank God.
And did they arrest you and
thank
save
God
you?
for oatmeal.
They arrested you and saved you.
Yes, they did.
Okay, so you were quite the menace as a kid.
Yeah.
Such a menace that you tell us countless stories of how you were kicked out of 13 schools. Was it 13 or 14 schools?
13.
13 schools.
They would have made 14, but they ran schools.
So, but they weren't regular schools, obviously.
Well,
they were
what happened?
military schools, schools for trouble.
Yeah, you have to work your way through. Again, in all fairness to myself, I wasn't raised in a right way. In other words, my brain has always been flipped sideways. It's just the way I've interpreted life. That's why now I realize I made the right choice. But back then, you were a menace.
Right.
You were going nowhere. You were what is known as a juvenile delinquent,
He
JD.
puts that in quotes.
That's what-
I was a delight.
That's right, you were a JD. So that's when I realized earlier on, after they kept sending me to school after school after school, they go, he just doesn't fit in. I go, guys, that's the seventh school. Where do I fit in? I don't know. Then we tried it again, and they said he just doesn't fit in, and we're not going to allow him back. He's such a disruptor for us. We won't let him back into the state of Pennsylvania.
What did you
Oh, yeah.
do?
So-
Did not.
No.
And Maryland was banned from the entire Maryland school board.
What?
Montgomery
But
Hill.
Dad,
Wait,
it's
wait,
not.
wait.
It's not you
Because
just
of
having ADD in class to get that. That
No,
is
I was
pretty
all-
bad.
No, I was adventurous.
Do you remember the story you told me about you going to military school and stealing knives from your what would you call your captains or your
Officers.
officers?
Mhm.
So was that the factor that caused you to not even be able to
Well,
go to school?
I said, how do I get out? Now I'm in a school where everyone's very physical.
Yeah.
They all look like grown men with their full beard. I mean, they're like 16, 17 years old, but they've been there.
And this is the place to get you in order. But
Right. So they took these kids there from the time they were 8, and they'd be there until they're 18. So when they came out at 18, they were tough.
Wow.
I mean, tough. There was no love lost. This is when you had corporal punishment. You take a kid in the back room and just smack the hell out of them.
Wow.
That's what it was.
At this point, this school is for troubled kids
Yeah.
that need
It's for
behavioral.
kids you
Yeah.
don't want.
well, this
Right.
is
Yeah.
this is
Like,
military
You're
school.
right.
Wait, is this
Like,
Deborah?
what's it's born
No, are you
accidents.
talking about the military school or Deborah?
No, military.
It's military school.
You're still at military school here?
You know.
And this is the craziest part. Is
I
You're
not
not
haven't
even
got
in
to
the
the hard
troubled
one
school
yet.
yet. Oh
the
no.
fact that
Anyway, it's,
you know all this stuff is happening. These kids are getting hit and they're getting corporal punishment, but you still find the need to steal stuff.
Yeah.
And so you get that same punishment, knowing that that could happen.
that's why I think it's something. It's just yes. I think there's something to be said about a certain mentality that when you're told not to, right away you say, that's for normal people. I can pull this one off.
Yeah.
I can do it. It's like a stupid dare. Like, oh, what are you, chicken? Jump off a building? Nah, I'll try
Well,
it. No,
that's-
it's just stupid.
That seems
Well, no,
really
that's human behavior. You tell a
Exactly
kid
right.
you're not allowed to go out, they're gonna sneak out.
That's my point. So I had that overdeveloped sense of competition.
Mm.
If you say no, that's just
well. That
like,
definitely plays into your character today. I think a lot.
oh yeah.
Or just when you say no, you mean yes.
No,
And that
no.
still plays every conversation, every
So,
fight we have.
After, you know what I think is so interesting too? Just like you have that cigarette story, you keep your report card from high school as well. And you show it all the time. You have it
I use it as
50
an
years later.
example
Why do you use it as an example?
because it shows that you can fail every class
Yeah.
and still end up pretty good
Right.
So, but you didn't fail every class.
every class.
No, you didn't
Except-
fail art class.
Well, art.
Yeah, but that's
That's-
you're an artiste. It makes sense.
Well, in
Full
a sense,
circle.
if you saw the picture, it was a horse with flies going around his head. It wasn't exactly Matisse.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. We do have one of your sketches framed from when you were 15.
Yeah.
And I go up to mom. I'm like, why is this? Like, just because a kid paints it doesn't mean. I'm not gonna insult your work. It's good.
You are insulting this
It's
word.
good, but it was just like a.
Oh, you
teenage
passed
sketch.
insult about 15 minutes ago. Now we're into like, yes.
No, you know.
No, I think. Can I
Do
actually?
you have all my photos?
Now we're bordering on a lawsuit
Okay.
Yeah. for deprivation of character here.
Oh.
Oh.
I mean, then that should be issued every single day between all three of us.
Okay.
As we I think the craziest schooling you had, which is we had this discussion for a really long time that we wanted to make this into a TV show, like a horror show, was your time at Deborah. And this is a school, if anyone knows what it is, it's in Massachusetts, or was. I don't know if it's still
Pennsylvania.
around. And it's a school for troubled kids, like behavioral issues. And I think that was like the final straw for every schooling that was
That was it.
dealing
That
with
was
it.
it.
Well,
Even though
that's
it's-
the end. I can't believe we're bringing that up. It's a very.
Well, we don't have to get into it that
We
deep.
don't, but I just find
No,
the
it's
stories
nothing
there.
perverse. It's just a school where you never go home.
Right.
Right.
So give listeners maybe context of how this would be different from a
Okay,
general
they
public
take you at a
school.
certain, they test you, and some people are sent there by the state. We have to have a certain pension IQ for something. You can't just be a horrible human being. You have to have like some shining grace, something.
Right.
And I don't know, they found it in art, but that school was so strict and so difficult that anytime you had a problem, you were dealing with another 25 kids in your class. Every one of them had severe, like violent problems, or they came from home where they had serious issues between their parents and them, just odd. And when you would become truant, now you lived there, but if you were late for classes that, or you were flirting with a girl, they would take you to a place called, well, it was called Byberry at one time. Then
Oh
it
yeah, I
changed
remember
it.
seeing that.
No, but it's called Park Lodge. And Park Lodge was a building where they would send lifers to. And a lifer is a person that never gets out.
It was
Ever.
an insane asylum.
Yeah, pretty much. Insane asylum. It's insane asylum. And I'm going, what am I doing in insane asylum? All I was doing was talking to a couple kids. But they would
You were
use it.
sent to the insane
Yeah.
asylum
From how old were
to
you?
punish
then?
you.
Yeah,
Well, how old were you?
16.
So you were flirting with girls at this behavioral school, and to punish the students, they would like have them go as a retreat.
1 week, 2
asylum.
weeks, 3 weeks
No way.
into
Wow.
a padded cell. Yeah.
That's so wrong.
Oh, it's so wrong. Until you've been there and you're with people that are in that situation for life. Again, girls, this is in the 60s, and the world is a different place. It was a whole
Right.
different place. Back then, corporal punishment was normal. In other words, the guys would walk around there with all the fellas. There were lifers, and a lot of them couldn't talk. If you ever saw the film Cuckoo's Nest,
Yeah.
that's a joke. Very nice movie.
Right.
But it's almost a fun place.
Mhm.
It's not fun. So the point being, I would go through that, and you come back into the normal school system,
Mhm.
and supposedly you learn something, not really that much. Then I realized that people's human nature is pretty well set up at an early age, and as long as you're not innately cruel or doing things that are incredibly vindictive to the individuals, I never saw myself as anything other than, misunderstood, abused
Right.
like everyone else feels, and looking for my place in the world. So I was never what you call like an incorrigible, horrible human
No.
being that was looking to rob or steal or
Right.
hurt. I was looking at anything, just mischief.
Yeah, you
To
were.
get anything to get out of schooling.
Right.
Right.
You
And
know,
so,
yeah.
and that's what you did. And I want to touch on the fact that you said you just did what you could to survive, because I feel like that's been your entire life's journey so
Completely,
far.
yeah.
So you make it out of Devereaux. You're now a young adult. And I would love to sort of get into your early career, because you have probably the most abnormal resume I have ever heard in my life. I mean, just to name a few, you were a lion cage cleaner,
Right.
a bouncer, you cut fish, you were an usher
Good
of
fish
books.
cutter.
I want to get into that.
You were a
Good
volleyball
Books,
coach.
book salesman.
What were you a volleyball coach?
I'm in Switzerland.
I have to
I'm
say
watching,
something.
I'm just watching like multiple stuff on YouTube right now. I'm in the family. I'm just watching stuff.
I said to myself, my
What
God,
with you, homie?
That's right.
But how were you a fish cutter?
I was such a good fish cutter.
I
And I'm
don't, but I
on
have a
record
hard
saying
time believing.
that I'm serious. Your mother was with me, am I right? We went to look at a home someone had for sale. The guy was maybe 85 years old. He goes, I know you. You used to cut the best fish
Oh,
at
you
Dover Deli. Am I right?
I believe you.
You could read through it. I was, for some reason, me and fish.
You and fish are.
Of course, you get complaints. Everyone, it's not thick enough. But yeah, I would do that, and just do a lot of these odd jobs, because I thought if I do all these horrible jobs at night, it would leave the day open to go out and pursue my alleged career,
Mhm.
and nothing was happening. So I would take any random job, from bodyguard to this to chasing people to
Chasing people?
yeah. I chase people out of bookstores
If they robbed.
if they were out.
Yeah.
No
So
chasing.
through all of these oddball jobs,
Odd jobs.
did you get fired from any of them?
Everyone.
Okay.
Which one are you the best at? The fish
I
cutter?
was fantastic at being an usher.
Why?
Actually, I can see that.
Because people go, oh, it's an usher. I go, no, you don't get it. Usher, I can go to class 8 hours a day and watch a film, how it's broken down, how it's written, how it's truly constructed and deconstructed, because I watch it every day. And I started taking notes. And I became really editorial.
Right.
And we ended up winning an Oscar for
Was that
best
your-
editing.
But
And,
Was that your introduction to
that was my
film?
introduction to it, yeah. So I thought, okay, let me just take this horrible job, but I know there's a plan there. It isn't like, okay, I went to 4 years of college to become an usher. No, I went to 4 years of college to eventually do something in the arts.
right.
And I said, here it is. This is a no-brainer.
So
Right.
at that point, when you were an usher and you're watching the film and you're breaking it down in your head, were you wanting to be an actor or were you wanting to be a screenwriter, editor, and director?
All right, the acting was, I was starting to realize this is never going to happen. People were saying, oh, you have a speech impediment, your mouth is crooked, you slur. And I go, tell me something I don't know. I know that. They said, well, it's just not going to work. Maybe you'll be an extra. So I started to buy into that. Because every time I was cast, it was always for a thug.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? I always thought I'd be like Hugh Grant, is like I showed his
Oh,
book.
dude.
I was a love interest. Yeah. What are you saying no for over there?
Mom saying no.
Come on, you're married, but it had to be something.
She's so shy.
She thinks you're funny.
I know she does think I'm funny. Greatest. Don't show up a heart attack on her. My wife is the shyest person.
You know what you've always said to us though was that no matter what we do in life, always learn how to write, because regardless of anything, because that's what kind of, I guess.
Yeah, you don't have to be a good writer.
Exactly.
You just have to write, and eventually your inner thoughts will come to the surface and take care of themselves. To be a gifted writer, it's freakish. Like you can be a really gifted actor and a terrible writer, terrible director. You have to know what your niche is. So anyway, acting, I realized I was always going to play the thug. I was always going to be the mugger. I was always beating up Woody Allen or beating up Jack Lemmon or beating up, who's the guy that played David Carradine? Actually, David Carradine beat me up. That's when I realized I said, enough is enough. I can't take it anymore. And Death Race 2000. And that's when I started to focus on the written word. And I was not very good.
I would like to talk about the fact that you just said that you're never good, because people tend to pursue careers or hobbies at things that they know they're good at, or at least they think that they're good at. But writing is one of those things that either you go to school and you're taught how to do it, or you're just naturally gifted and that's something that just pours out of you. But you're saying, I knew I wasn't a good writer. So what made you continue to write?
Because I never passed the English course. In other words, when you say good writer, I'll use that terminology. And you understand the inner workings and outer workings of the English language. In other words, you understand how to deconstruct and construct a sentence, how to diagram a sentence, and know what a pronoun is, an adjective. Not me.
But you don't need to know.
I understand, but you do.
They
in a
do
sense.
teach you that you need to know that.
People will grade you. Like you go to college, you turn your term paper, and you've turned it in the way I turned it. They say you're an idiot. But the difference is, it's the way people speak.
How did you teach yourself then?
I just an ear.
Did you read a lot? Was it like?
I did read a lot. I didn't read when I was in college, and then I started when I was broke. I would spend hours in the New York Library just looking for subject matter, and then eventually I came across Edgar Allan Poe, and I said, what do I have to do with this guy? Nothing. Zero. He's a stone genius. He's a poet laureate. He's an incredible writer. And I mean, he would have been the most amazing director. In other words, he didn't have that visual outlet back then.
Is he what changed everything for you?
But here's what changed me, folks, is when you start to get something that's out of your wheelhouse. For example, writing about Poe. I was no longer writing about what I did last summer or my adventure or how I got along with my mother. It was about another subject. So now I became a writer about another subject. So you became an investigator, you became more, you're exploring. In other words, you became a vehicle for writing that's not just about you.
Yeah.
Like you'll see some things like Woody Allen. He'll do 80% of the material is him.
Right.
About his life. That's what he does. And he does it well. Whereas I thought, no, I'm never going to get out of this until I start writing about someone else's life. And that was the beginning of Poe. And then from Poe, I did a thing called Cheerful Charlie, which is an incredible story about.
You've written over 45 screenplays.
a lot of
Getting Mom
screenplays.
So did you going off of what you just said, was writing outside of your wheelhouse, writing about people and stories that weren't about you, was that sort of an escape from your own?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was. You know, especially writing female parts. When you write Adrian, people go, "Oh, Rocky. Rocky's not." If someone says Rocky's a sports film again, I want to spin.
Wait, why does that upset you so much?
Because it's not
What
a
is it?
sports film.
Clear it up right now.
A
What is
sports
wrong?
film is what is Rocky is a love story about a guy who's a broken down fighter. That's all it is.
Right.
It's never about money. It's never about, oh, I became champion. Oh, I want to be champion.
I
No.
just put something together. So you love Edgar Allan Poe, his brain, his love stories, his emotions, and then you always used to tell us you used to look up to Hercules as a physical being. Do you think that's like a combination of the two as
Oh,
movie?
oh my god, it is. Edgar's
It is.
brain
Think about it,
and
because
Hercules' body.
Hercules is, did he go from like zero to hero? And then you have Edgar Allan Poe, who's like immensely in love with this, what was it, Penelope, what was her name?
Annabelle Lee.
Annabelle Lee. Maybe I just unlocked something that I didn't even realize.
So you're saying because I like Hercules and I like Poe, you just discovered something?
Yeah, well, I realized that's Rocky.
No, but I think you might have hit on something.
Because you were saying that, I think that's what something even that I do, I think even Steve does, and a lot of people do, is to sometimes see like a better version of themselves. They start to create a different character, and you
Right.
probably saw, I mean, is that how you started Rocky? Did you always love boxing before?
No. It
No?
was okay. I just saw it as a very, very easy sport to figure out.
You think that's it?
It is. I mean, it's pretty simple. And then you realize how much skill goes into it, which is extraordinary. And it's also at the life and death aspect of it. But boxing, I realize people are obsessed with two things in life: racing and boxing. In every aspect. Oh, you got to race to beat the clock. You got to race to get your thing on time. Race to get your tax return. Race. Get your finals done. It's always going somewhere.
Yeah.
Time is and people will bet on how fast his phone falls. I mean, anything. There's nothing's off limits for racing, for time. And I thought, okay, what's the other thing that everyone relates to symbolically? Fighting. As soon as a guy walks in the room, sizes up another guy, oh, how would I last against him? I mean, everything is competitive. And then it gets down to, we realize, shit, life is a big battle, man. There's no flat spots. It's usually you solve one problem, and you got another one. Then you got this job. Then you got a terrible relationship. You got a good relationship, but it falls apart. One thing after another. Fighting. So I thought, if I could write a story that deals with a guy who's a schlumpy guy, who on the outside looks like a real tough guy, should maybe have it together, and he has nothing together.
Yeah.
And people can relate to that.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't even think of himself as tough. He's just a loser,
Well,
and he admits he's a loser.
There's so much that people can relate to within the film, and I think that aside from it being a love story, obviously it highlights the message of not giving up,
Right.
and people really resonate with that. And I think a lot of fans of yours don't know, or maybe they do if they're a true fan, don't know how strong that message is held even before Rocky or while Rocky was being written. Because, for example, your living situation as you were writing Rocky, I mean, you said that you would have newspapers on your walls to keep you warm. Like, what was your living situation as you were writing the first Rocky?
You painted the windows black to focus.
Yeah, I did paint black. Because I don't know what time it didn't matter what time it was.
So,
It's time for breakfast. Right away, you derailed yourself.
Right.
I'll have breakfast when I'm hungry. I don't need to know what time it is, that kind of thing. So I was trying to eliminate all the excuses because it's hard to write. And you're looking for any reason, please, someone call. That's why I took the phone out. So you couldn't be called.
So you were straight focused, painted
So
black
100%.
windows.
Black windows,
And it was a
no
TV.
phone.
But that actually makes a lot of sense because even today when you're writing and you go into your zones, and I know Mom knows this for fact, you'll wake up at around 2 in the morning and then you'll go back to bed around 7 in the morning.
You'll isolate
I mean, your
yourself the
schedule
entire
is
time.
crazy, but I didn't know that you would do
That's a
that
great
even when
style.
you were writing Rocky, and that's really clever.
Well, I don't know if it's clever. It just seems to
Well,
be
That was
it's
just his writing style.
I think somewhat of a genetic disposition to have this kind of, the writing gives it to you. It's kind of like a gift that it will tell tell you when to write, when not to write. But writing, I'll tell you right now, is a miserable means of existence. It is terrible.
Is there anything you like
No,
about
there's
writing?
nothing.
Okay.
You love the end result. You love the fact that you have it on paper. I respect writing, unbelievable, but the process itself, and I've discussed this with so many writers. Look at writers;
Mm-hmm.
they look
It's true.
ready to
Right.
kill themselves.
Yeah, it's a
They're all
lot.
worn out, they're tired. They live in their own heads. Psychologically, they're torn to shreds because they can never be in the moment. They can never be in this. Right now, if I was writing a screenplay, I'd be going, "Oh yeah, hi, hello." But I was
Oh
still
my
going.
God.
So you're torn like that, and that's why a lot of alcoholics, writers become alcoholics.
Right.
Right.
They do.
Well, I'm sure not knowing what time it was for you definitely spun you out in a bad way.
And
But obviously it worked out because how you wrote the screenplay in what, 3 days?
Yeah.
4 days? 3 days?
No, I thought it was a 4 days.
3.5.
3.5
Oh, I
days.
thought it was a week.
No, because again, I tell young people that want to be writers, don't get so hung up on the perfection. Know that 90% of it is garbage. The fact that you got through, that's amazing. That you
Yeah.
actually got a beginning, middle, and end, no matter how.
Video progress by 32 minutes, 19 seconds of 59 minutes, 18.
About page
Video
80,
crop
burn
about.
out.
Mhm.
Page 90, burn out. They don't have that finale. If you happen to have an ending, man, you're home free.
How did you feel going from being literally a kid kicked out of 13 schools, selling your dog, all the stuff, having barely any money to scrape by, to instant stardom?
It's kind of shocking because therein lies a terrible.
What up, homie?
People actually, it's terrible.
What you doing right now? I just enjoying this food, man. I just got eating this food. This food was off the chain, man. That boy was hitting different. The food was really good. I'm done eating it now, though. I'm just watching YouTube.
Kevin Hart gets the bubble guts. Cute girl on new interview, new video podcast interview. Loves and she hate mindset reset. Lauren with pink fat ways to spend the root cause of crush now about Bella Danger. Women, why are some embarrassed? On new singing cute girl new video podcast is a news podcast interview. Cute girl love short. Talk SM new 233K views 3 days of change your learn true crime news ever unmet Navy the swoop OT Holly Trump in Dr. Lucky Jesse Murph this past weekend w/should Philippe Nicker Help Jack Pike the truth of I had so much fun with you James Harper's over 10 views 4 months ago Hello Chuck whether if you stay away age improve Joe disappear any pop and symbol Magic Dooney category opening up of India has bored Kevin Hart crime journalist. People also watched Roe, Nappy Head Boys, Schultz Amish, Snippets Apology. Haha, guess Nappy opening up Ultra Vegeta finally beats the Grand Priest. Call me Rich, new 150K views 2 days ago. Nappy Head Boys, Remnant, Nappy for you, Roe, previously watched. The red hole I'm ripped about lyric Goku and project for you. Row people search podcast search tab home tab real search tab 2 of 11 tab or recent searches podcast search suggested search podcast search home tab recommended row den of thieves to Pantera the cop goes gangster. Watch the trailer now. Sponsor zombies Common Sense 82 2 watching with 2 of 6 or more.
Oh, they playing songs?
I'm trying to see if I can spawn in this blood burner. Oh, I can't spawn. Won't die, where you at?
What's this schematic right here? I need that.
What number are you?
Recommended Marlo Beck Stallone Family Therapy w/guest Sylvester and Jennifer Stallone episode 67 Unwaxed Podcast. Unwaxed Podcast 1.2 M views 2 years ago 1 hour 1 minute 48 seconds 4 of 6 or more.
Hey, we got the alphabet challenge going on.
What the f is going on? I like to party. Jesus,
Honey, wax switch.
This is Unwaxed
Yeah, let's go shopping.
with Sophia and Sistine Salon.
We just become best friends.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Unwaxed podcast with your favorite sisters, Sophia
And Sistine, I am shaking in my
Remnant to the end of joy, Larry King, the 9 Acres 12 Scary Big Stephen F. 10 upcoming zombie horror games to watch, Batman Beyond, Dick Grayson returns to Gotham City, Raven Comics, 13, 15 Scary Ghost videos with Tyler Henry hints at Megan Fox Otsutsuki Shibai, Live Doyle goes Berserk mode on Tsukina, George Lopez George Pagodic Will, 21 Scary Cryptid Creatures, The Rock, Dragon's Dogma 2 tips and tricks will make you overpowered early, Dragon's Dogma 2 tips and tricks, Joe Raptor, 162K views 5 months ago, 9 minutes, 12 seconds, 23 of 26 or more.
Eastern region.
Man meets Batman, the Doom that came to Gotham Bat Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster hyphen surviving is up 8,000 all boss rush, adds Ghost guess the moment Goku found Dave Bautista with Super Neighbor Fly can't believe he created Juiced at Klaus and I War 9 Beyond Dragon Ball Super Saiyan Rose Goku Black Sylvester Stallone admits he's terrible with daughter's boyfriends, the Kelly Clarkson Show, 300 Tsukina versus Jujutsu Pulse Polilo versus Jira Hunter Future Mutes Top 5 Ghost Video Slide EP41
He tell her with her daughter's boyfriend. Crazy.
The fastest Paul has a drink with their Remnant 2 Hybrid Sam and Dean Lynch Lucas Baden Naruto used Remnant interviewing our dad Sylvester Stallone episode 50 Unwaxed podcast 7.7 million views 2 years ago. Big Pope and Klaus when you pop scary Dragon Ball at full power Goku versus Vegeta. Dexter and Deb versus Detective Law, Sheila early live moments, hilarious Remnant 2 hype and deceit, Remnant lightning, Jennifer, Superman and handsome, telling, Christmas, hilarious moments, seasons 4 hype and 6, The Big Bang Theory, 654K views 1 month ago, 1 hour, 21 minutes, 19 seconds, 80 of 86 or more, Christmas at Trigger's House MD, 1.8 M views 6 years ago. Hilarious moments, seasons 4 hype and 6, The Big Bang Theory, 654K views 1 month ago, 1 hour, 21 minutes, 19 seconds, 80 of 86 or more.
Los Angeles and become a famous actress.
Okay, look, when you see someone wearing shoes you like, you just snap a picture of them, and the app goes on the internet to find out where you can buy them.
That's your app idea.
You don't like it?
I didn't say that, but no, I don't.
About Dr. Maxson, 2024, at Judas Shinjuku Showdown, Sylvester Stallone annoying his daughter, the making of Rocky versus Sylvester Stallone annoying his daughters, Abby_X, 1.7 M views 4 years ago, 20 minutes, 15 seconds, 84 of 91 or more. The making photo terrifying night shift hauntings hyphen paranormal night shift hyphen S0110 hyphen paranormal documentary, Vanna J documentaries, 282K views 5 months ago, 41 minutes, 54 seconds, 87 of 91 or more. Sponsor, Skipping 5.
With the money I saved, I get a wax figure.
What the hell was that?
That scared me. I don't think that I'm crazy. I didn't know what to think.
What you're about to watch is
It's
based
based
on
on
true
true
events. Some details have been altered to protect confidentiality.
My name is Ronnie, and I work the night shift.
As midnight approaches, 21-year-old Ronnie makes his way to his job as an overnight support worker at a group home for adults with developmental disabilities.
Hey, Ronnie. Good.
I got hired at a group home. I had agreed to work night shifts every weekend, so every Friday and Saturday night.
Yeah, you get some rest, eh?
I need to, but not too much.
It sounds good. You too.
The night shift starts at 11 p.m. and it runs until 7 in the morning.
Until daybreak, Ronnie will be the sole employee at the home.
Yeah, mostly the night shift is you're kind of like a security guard in a sense. You're making sure everything's clean, you're making sure that the place isn't going to catch fire. All the people who live in this house were sleeping. I try to be as quiet as I can. I don't have the lights on. I don't want to wake people up. It's very rare that you have to interact with the people who live there. Well, it's an old house. It's a well-kept house, but it's old.
And like many old homes, it's prone to strange sounds. The hours are long and lonely, but Ronnie doesn't mind the solitude, and the pay is good.
Typically, when you work a night shift, you get paid a premium, so it's definitely an incentive to want to work the nights.
As Ronnie settles into his evening routine, things take a turn for the strange.
I'm just sitting in the office. Suddenly, I heard this noise, this droning sound. I thought that maybe someone was awake, but the sound did not sound familiar to me at all. I'd never heard this sound before. The interesting thing with the sound is anywhere that I was in the house, the volume remained the same. On the first floor, the volume was the same. Stairs, the volume stayed the same. The second floor, it was the same everywhere. It was just a sound that no matter where I was, I could hear it. The only time the volume changed was when I exited the house to see if the sound was coming from outside. There was no sound at all. When I returned inside, I could hear the noise. The noise stopped, and I thought that I saw something, but I couldn't be sure. I had been working there about 4 months at this point. This was the first experience that I had that I couldn't explain.
The things are only just getting started.
That's crazy. But it was working there. That shit was hunting.
Out of nowhere, I just begin to hear crawling. And it's coming toward me. It's getting faster and louder as it's coming toward me.
What the hell? This is crazy.
My heart was beating really fast. And I don't think that I'm crazy. I think that for the most part, I'm pretty level-headed and logical. I was sure of what I heard. I knew that I heard something. So I called my friend who was the night supervisor, and I just said, man, call me crazy, but are you here? I just have to rule this out.
You're not in the building, are you?
So he tells me he's not there. My heart falls to my.
After an eventful night of mysterious happenings, Ronnie tries to get some rest.
At this point, it was actually now a sleep shift. So I was allowed to sleep, and there was a bed.
But not everything in the house is sleeping.
Just as I put my head down, maybe a minute after, I heard crawling, like a human crawling. And I opened my eyes, and it sounded like it was coming directly towards me. But my back is facing it, so I'm on my side. So it's coming from behind me. And I could hear it crawl right into my bed, and as soon as I got to my bed, it stopped. And it was the most scared I've ever been in my life, like ever. Like, ever.
In a group home for adults with developmental delays, overnight support worker Ronnie finds himself stalked by a sinister, creepy presence.
I sat up. And I looked around. Couldn't see anything, but I was rattled. I was shook up. I wanted to run away, but I can't leave. I can't leave this house. I can't run away scared. I'm responsible for people. But I knew I saw something. So even though I'm scared out of my mind, I have to protect the house, make sure that people are safe. And I searched the house. But there's nothing. People were sleeping. I checked the second floor. There's nothing there. So I went back down. The last place I had to check was the kitchen. In the dining room, the lights are off. So it's very dim. Is that this thing was crawling toward me, and for whatever reason, I just had this crazy sense of this thing wants to kill me now. For all intents and purposes, I'm trapped in a house with what I think is an entity who wants to kill me. And my heart was beating through my chest.
Sponsor, skipping 41. Fewer ad breaks for this long video.
That's some scary shit. Hell no, I would not be working there no more. Like nigga, can't have this job.
Sponsor,
That thing look like it did want to kill you. That thing look pure evil. Yeah, I would have been working there.
The Penguin streaming exclusively on Max.
Sponsor, skipping 11.
At Harbor Freight.
Sponsor, skipping 5.
And our family's safe, and we're making progress.
Skip button, ending 25.
And when I got to right in front of my face, it let out this noise. And I actually yelled. And suddenly, it's just me.
Ronnie did the right thing by shouting at the spirit, because what he did was he was focusing his energy to a point which repulsed the spirit, which caused it to stop.
Morning can't come soon enough. When his manager finally arrives to relieve him, Ronnie wants answers.
Hey, Ronnie, everything okay? I told my night supervisor about the entity crawling toward me, and he knows I don't lie, I don't make stuff up, and he got me to tell him in as much detail as I could.
Ronnie's manager has a surprising story of his own.
I didn't want to scare you, but you deserve to know the truth.
He recounts hearing a horrible incident that happened at the home.
He told me that he heard a long time ago when the day shift got to work, the night staff were nowhere to be found. And they were at a loss for words. They didn't know where the staff went. And the front door was actually wide open. And it turned out that that night staff was found shot and murdered.
Damn.
Found a body right over there, right beside the cot.
There was nothing physical in the house. So I came to the conclusion that it must have been something not of this world, something from the spirit world, perhaps a demon, perhaps the spirit from the night shift worker.
Ronnie's experiencing what I believe is perhaps a residual haunting or a spirit who died under very tragic circumstances and is simply trying to tell its story. It needs acknowledgement before it can move on. Ronnie is lying in bed and he's hearing the sound of something crawling towards him. This might be the spirit trying to show him what it was doing in its last moments before death. It also might be just trying to generate fear in mind. Fear maybe is an energy which it can siphon, which it can feed from.
I still work as a support worker. Great job.
I transfer up a nice shift.
Don't do those anymore. As scary as I find it fascinating. Because I think we all wonder what happens when we die. And when you have experiences like this, I think that it paints a pretty clear answer for you.
Damn.
My name is Matt.
That's messed. That is messed up. They never figure out that the murder never been figured out.
7 seconds. Press and hold for ad options. Button. Marvel Television's Agatha all along now streaming on Haunted Remnant 2 5 more insane weapons you need to get early. I spent the day with real vampires. Skylight 4K 268K views 1 year ago. 17 minutes 42 seconds 4 of 6 or more.
Vampires are everywhere. Blood is life. Blood stays in body, you stay alive. Blood goes out of body, you might not stay alive.
Do you actually drink blood?
At the core of it, a vampire has to feed.
Man needs his The Crowd versus Michael Myers. Ghost Best of Rick saving the day. Yup. EP 12 scary video zombies. Common Sense 82. 2 watching. Live 11 of 60. Baruch George Lopez George Review 20. Robert Father Zac Efron 1 hour. Best Buy employee busted for Beyond Draft fan favorite. The story of Lois and the real Bill Bale story. The man who fought for survival against Satan. The Untold. Atreus. One Piece AMV Gear 5 Luffy versus Lucci Gods. High AMV. 4K. 2.7 M views 5 months ago. 3 minutes, 41 seconds, 25 of 31 or more.
This is what you came for. All on the king pole. Everybody drop it like rainfall. This is your moment. Eyes on a puppet.
The Curse of Ben, Sam Deep When Kids, Venom Unlocking Venom joins the Unlock Lip 4-5 Future Gohan. Flight can't believe he created the best PG build in history after 15-game win streak NBA 2K25 Park. Not your average flight. 100-hour sub Myron destroys the panel for believing they were more valuable than their man. The hidden mock, the creepiest TikToks on YouTube. Galactus is now moving. Nurpaw, 4 the white rate, spooky, creepy, and chilling footsteps. Cold 15 Tulsa King season 2 premiere full episode Paramount Plus. 21K views 5 hour. Ragnar Crimson full dub episode. Best of Sly the documentary. Exclusive interview. EP 102. Guest news. Sly the documentary. Exclusive interview. Guest haunted crazy newts when you caught full Ellie Mock dead rock scary ghost video when Rage Awakenings get too intense. Boruto destroyed and saved by Mitsuki. Claim Goku vs Jiren full fight tournament of power. D with best B8 that was most eye-catching looks.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Controls. Switch group active. Close.
That was crazy, y'all. That was crazy.
Hold for Michael's fight.
I need to put some socks on my feet cold.
Horizontal list 3 of 4. One button switch homes. For more content, press the down button.
My feet getting cold. My feet is getting cold, y'all. My feet is getting cold. Oh, I had to put some socks on. I think it started raining. I'm not for sure. I wish it did start raining. If it did, I'm probably gonna go outside and see. Even though it's not the best weather, I ain't gonna go out there because it was raining just now. So it ain't the best weather. I think it did start raining though. Oh, it's still raining out there. Yeah, it's still raining out there. Oh shit. It's still raining out there. Goddamn. It's still raining. Roman and family. Yeah, it's still raining out there. It still is. All right, y'all. I don't show y'all the rain that. Well, I'm not going outside because it's still raining. So let me show y'all this. Oops. Let me show y'all this rain right quick. Let me show y'all the rain right quick. It's raining hard as hell out there. Oh, we got 40. Y'all see that? It's raining out here. Hey, y'all see? Y'all see that? That whole ground wet. Straight rain out here. See that? It's raining. It's raining hard. Yeah, it's raining hard. So that's why I'm not going outside. But all right, I'll be one. I don't do one again later on tonight. Hopefully it stops raining. If it does, I go outside and do a late night vlog. Hopefully it stop raining pretty soon. I love y'all. Y'all have a wonderful day, roaming the family. Sorry, it's my lighting. It's like, whoa. Don't know why. Yeah, I can fix my lighting. Hold on. That's what it is. That's what it was. It was my lighting. Like, gotta be my lighting. All right, y'all. We're gonna stop it right here. Hopefully, start raining so I can do a late night logging tonight. I love y'all and God bless you. Y'all have a wonderful day. Somebody just came in. Head like hunting shark. Your head look. Oh, your head like hammer shark. Hey, you funny as hell, but that's a good one though. Hey, good joke. I love y'all. That's a good joke.